You're picking the wrong positions. That's it. That's why you're finishing too fast. I'm Dr. Nora Vale. I've spent over a decade in men's health, and I cannot tell you how many guys come into my office completely convinced there's something mechanically wrong with them when the real issue is geometry. They're choosing positions that maximize their own stimulation and then wondering why they can't last more than 4 minutes. It's not a mystery, it's physics. I had a patient earlier this year, let's call him Derek, came in absolutely defeated, said he'd tried everything breathing techniques, numbing sprays, thinking about baseball, none of it worked. So I asked him one question: what position are you using most of the time? He looked at me like I'd asked him to solve calculus. Then he said, I don't know, regular? Doggy style sometimes? There it is. That's your problem. Doggy style is basically designed to make men finish fast. You're in control of the depth. You're in control of the speed. You've got a visual that's doing half the work for you. It feels incredible, which is exactly why it's the worst possible choice if lasting longer is the goal. You're flooding your own system with stimulation and then blaming your body for responding exactly the way it's supposed to. So let's fix this. I'm going to walk you through the positions that actually work. And more importantly, I'm going to explain why they work. Because once you understand the principle, you can adapt on the fly instead of running through a mental checklist while you're supposed to be present with another human being. The principle is simple: shallow penetration, limited thrust range, and positions where you're not doing all the work. That's it. Every position I'm about to describe follows that formula. Let's start with the obvious one. Her on top, cowgirl. You lie on your back, she straddles you, and she controls the movement. Why does this help? Because you physically cannot thrust quickly from that position. Your hips are pinned, you're limited to small movements. Meanwhile, she's grinding rather than bouncing, which means she's getting clitoral stimulation while you're getting a fraction of the friction you'd get if you were pounding away in missionary. It's also, frankly, lazy. And I mean that as a compliment. You're conserving energy. You're not tensing every muscle in your body trying to hold yourself up. Tension accelerates climax. Relaxation delays it. So lie there. Let her work. Stop being a hero. Now here's a variation most guys don't think about. Same concept, but she lies flat on your chest instead of sitting upright, chest to chest, almost like missionary flipped upside down. This restricts her movement even more, which means even less stimulation for you. She can still grind, she can still get what she needs, but you're basically in maintenance mode. If you feel yourself getting close, you just stop moving entirely. She probably won't even notice because she's focused on her own rhythm. Wait, I should mention, I had a guy argue with me about this once. Said letting the woman do all the work made him feel like he wasn't being a good lover. Which, okay, I understand the instinct. But here's the thing. Being a good lover isn't about how much you're moving. It's about whether she's enjoying herself. If she's on top, grinding, having a great time, and you're lasting long enough for her to actually finish, that's good sex. Your ego isn't invited to this conversation. All right, next one. Spooning. Both of you on your sides. You're behind her. You enter from behind. But here's why this is different from doggy style. Your thrust range is tiny. You literally cannot make those long, deep strokes that send most men over the edge. All you can do is short, grinding movements, which, coincidentally, are exactly what hits her G-spot. So you're targeting the spot that matters for her while simultaneously limiting your own stimulation. That's the goal with all of these. Create asymmetry. She gets more, you get less. Everybody wins. The face-to-face version of this works too. Side by side, looking at each other. She wraps one leg over your hip. Penetration is shallow, movement is restricted, and you can actually kiss her, which, I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to, is something a lot of guys forget to do once penetration starts. You're allowed to slow down. You're allowed to pause and just be close to someone. Sex isn't a race to the finish line. Actually, let me back up. I keep saying shallow penetration like it's obvious why that helps. Let me explain the anatomy for a second. The head of your penis and the underside of the shaft are where most of the nerve endings are concentrated. Deep thrusting stimulates those areas intensely. Shallow penetration means you're mostly stimulating the base, which is far less sensitive. You're still inside her, she's still getting fullness, but you're not lighting up every nerve ending you have with every stroke. This is why the lazy dog works so well. It's doggy style, but both of you are lying flat. You're on top of her back, your chest on her shoulders. Think of it like prone missionary. Your thrust depth is cut in half because your hips can only move so far when you're lying down. You get the visual of doggy style, the angle of doggy style, but without the range of motion that makes doggy style a one-way ticket to finishing in 3 minutes. The one issue is figuring out the angles. Her hips need to be tilted up slightly. A pillow under her pelvis helps. Don't be afraid to adjust. It's not supposed to be seamless the first time. You're allowed to say, hang on, let me just, and reposition. She's not going to leave. Okay, here's one that most people never even consider: non-penetrative missionary. You're in the missionary position, but you don't go inside. Instead, you rub the back of your shaft against her vulva, up and down, grinding against her clitoris. It's basically outer course. I know what you're thinking. What's the point? The point is that most of your nerve endings are on the front of your penis, not the back. So she's getting intense clitoral stimulation while you're getting almost nothing comparatively. You can do this for a long time without getting close, and she loves it. Seriously, ask her. Most women would take 10 minutes of this over 2 minutes of pounding. This also works as a reset. If you're inside her and you feel yourself approaching the edge, pull out, switch to this, let yourself calm down, and then go back in. It's not admitting defeat, it's strategy. And honestly, God, this annoys me. The number of men who think sex has to be continuous penetration from start to finish. Like if you stop thrusting for 30 seconds, the whole thing is ruined. It's not. She doesn't care. She probably prefers variety. The only person keeping score is you, and you're keeping score wrong. All right, 2 more. The cross. This one looks a little weird, but it works. You're both on your backs. Her torso is perpendicular to yours, like you're forming the letter X. Her legs are draped over your hips. You thrust upward to enter her. Your range of motion is almost nothing. You can't go deep, you can't go fast, and somehow the angle works really well for her. It's also extremely low effort. You're lying down, she's lying down, nobody's holding themselves up, nobody's burning out their hip flexors. You can sustain this for a long time because there's nothing to sustain. It's basically sex on rest mode. And finally, the chair position. You sit on a chair or the edge of the bed. She sits on your lap facing away from you. She controls the movement. All you do is sit there. Notice the pattern? The positions where you last longest are the positions where you have the least control. That's not an accident. Control means options. Options mean stimulation. Stimulation means finishing fast. I'm not saying you can never do doggy style or missionary. I'm saying save them for the end. Use them as the finale after you've spent 20 minutes in positions that don't push you toward the cliff. By that point, finishing fast isn't a problem. It's the goal. Now, all of this works better when blood flow is working properly. If you're not getting fully hard or sensitivity feels off, that's often a circulation issue. Flow is watermelon extract that supports nitric oxide production, which is how your body actually delivers blood where it needs to go. Links in the description. It's not going to magically make you last longer, but it makes everything else work the way it's supposed to. One more thing, and this isn't a position, it's a principle. The men who last longest aren't the ones with the best techniques. They're the ones who are actually present. Not performing, not anxious about the clock, not running mental calculations about whether she's close yet. Just there, in their body, paying attention to her. Anxiety accelerates everything. Presence slows it down. If your brain is racing, your body follows. So whatever position you choose, the real work is staying out of your own head, which is harder than any physical adjustment I've described. But it matters more. Derek, the guy with the doggy style problem, I gave him 3 positions to try: spooning, lazy dog, and the non-penetrative reset. That's it, nothing complicated. He came back a month later and said things were completely different. His wife had actually asked him what changed. He told me he didn't know what to say to her, so he just shrugged and said he'd been sleeping better. Which, I mean, wasn't even true. But he was embarrassed to admit he'd asked his doctor about sex positions. Men are weird about this stuff. The point is, nothing about his body changed. Nothing about his physiology improved in a month. He just stopped putting himself in situations where failure was almost guaranteed. And that's what I want you to understand. Most stamina issues aren't about dysfunction, they're about strategy, or more accurately, the complete absence of strategy. You've been winging it, picking positions based on what looks good in videos or what feels best in the first 30 seconds, and then wondering why things end before she's even warmed up. Here's what I want you to do. Next time, start with her on top. Spend at least 5 minutes there. Then switch to spooning or side by side. Another 5 minutes. If you feel yourself getting close at any point, switch to the non-penetrative grinding. Let yourself calm down, then go back in. Save the positions where you have full control, the doggy style, the hard missionary, for the last few minutes. That's it. That's the whole system. Sequence your positions from lowest stimulation to highest. Build toward the finale instead of sprinting there from the starting line. And stop thinking of lasting longer as something you achieve through willpower. Willpower is a losing game. You're fighting against millions of years of biology that wants you to finish as quickly as possible. The goal isn't to override your body, it's to stop giving your body reasons to race toward the end. Your body isn't broken, your position selection is. Fix that first, then worry about the fancy stuff.